Hi, this is Sheila. This is about the prep for the Rainforest Morning Necklace. Okay, here we go. The first thing I'm doing is cutting my threads for my preparation. And what I do is I just take one spool of one color, one spool of the other color. I cut these two threads 36 inches, begging your pardon, 3 yards long. Okay, so then I use those as a measure to do the rest. So of course you need 6 of one color and 6 of the other color. So just go ahead and continue to use those as your guide, like this. As you can see, I already have 10 threads cut. So these are my last 2 that I need. So using those as a guide and using the 2 spools together, I now have my threads. Now I want to go back about 8 inches and tie one single overhand knot on all the threads. Okay, these threads on that area are going to be wound onto a spoolie, little plastic snap together spool, and that way it'll keep those threads out of the way. Leave the knot just barely out of the spool. Those threads are now out of the way while I prepare my beads. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. I'm using a bead spinner today. I like a bead spinner. If you don't have one, just use a beading needle, thread it onto one of your threads, and put a heap of beads down and do like this. It's going to take you a very long time though. A bead spinner will cut the job into about 10% of what it would have been. So what I do is I always do what I call a leader thread on my spinner needle, because the hole in this needle is so tiny. It's very hard to thread a size D through it. So what I do is I use a 0 or the finest thread that you can find that will fit through that. Then you only have to thread this needle one time. So now this is your leader. So I take the end of the leader thread, and by the way, I do put a little knot right here so the thread doesn't keep sliding off of there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little slip knot right here on the end of my leader thread. My leader thread is like a reddish color, you can see here, and I'm using black thread for my beads today. Okay, then just pull this slip knot, put the thread that you're transferring onto through the loop, pull the loop tight. Okay, the trick about the bead spinner, some people have a hard time with it, but it only takes you a few minutes to get good at it. The trick is to hold the needle stable and as horizontally to the bowl as you possibly can. So I'm going to hold it into the beads. I'm going to take the top of the spinner and give it a spin. I'm spinning it clockwise, and the beads will go up on the needle for you. Don't worry about what hops out. You can pick those up in a heartbeat, but it makes it much quicker to go ahead and load the beads onto there. Okay, then transfer the beads down on the thread. Do that again. I'm trying to put my hand so you can see really well what's going on. Again, you don't have to spin too fast, but look how the beads fly up on that needle for me. Okay, and that'll make really quick work of this prep job. If you're doing it with a needle, count on about probably 4 to 5 hours for the prep on this one. Okay, can you see? Just give it a little spin again. Don't worry what hops out. We can scoop those up in a second. Just pull the beads along the thread a little bit. Did you notice when I go to grab the beads, I grab it at the tip? So once the beads are up on the needle, I need to get them down onto the thread, so I grab it down here. That prevents them from slipping back down into the bowl, and then down onto my leader thread and onto my main thread. So we just have a little bit more to do, and then I'll show you how to do the rest of the prep. Very easy. Once in a while you're going to get a little rogue bead that'll stick on the end and they'll stop flying up on your needle. That means that the hole in that bead is a little bit small and it's gotten stuck on the tip of the needle. Well, no problem. Just pull that off and throw that one away. And it happens. Look, I think it's happening right now, actually. Funny, I should have just said that. So, see, that one's stuck right there because it's a little small. So, just get rid of that one. And we'll continue. We're almost done. Oh, I think I got another rogue bead. Some beads are worse than others, that they end up with a finish in the hole. So some you'll never have that problem, and some you will. I think I have like a light brown. I'm using a mix of browns and blacks in here today. And some beads are worse than others. My little brown ones seem to be worse. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take the beads that I've strung and measure it. Now look, I'm a very naughty girl. I know I write on my desk. That's why I have a white desk. I have a little orange mark and an orange mark. I have a little more than I need. So I'm going to go ahead and just back off about an inch or so of beads because that's more than I need. Okay, and in order to take my leader thread away, I just pulled it apart. It came right off, and it did not leave a knot. The reason for that slip knot is it didn't leave a knot on my leader thread, so I don't have to cut any part of that leader thread off ever, which is nice. The only time I have to cut some off is when the thread fatigues. Okay, now I'm going to move this part over here a little bit so you can see this if you would focus on my desk here. So now I'm pushing these beads back up against this. When I first, remember when we first did the knot and the leftover 8 inches of threads are here? You're going to go ahead and load the beads on, and I'm going to show you how to prep it, and then you're going to snap them all together so you have one stack of 6 of one color and a stack of 6 of the other color. Okay, so here I am. I've just done this last strand. I'm going to pull one bead. Let me scoop this up here and get this cleared so you can see what's on my thread. I'm going to pull one bead out and away from the rest of the group. Get it pretty far away in case somehow you get a knot in your thread by doing this. I'm just going to do a simple overhand knot. And I'm going to keep a pinch with my thumb and my finger right here where I made the knot and pull up the tension on the thread, and that way the bead can't hop out of that knot. If the bead hops out of the knot, you're going to get a knot in your thread, and that won't be good. But it'll be less good if it's really close to the work. So pull the bead away before you make that knot. Then put the eye of a needle into the bead and just slide it right along up against the rest of the beads. Okay, so these beads are up against this knot, and the tie-on stop bead is up against here. Do not use a sew-through stop bead. Sew-through stop bead is when you put the needle through the bead again. I'll explain in class why that just doesn't work on this project. You need to have a tie-on stop bead, one single overhand knot, and you want that up against the beads, and you want the beads up against that knot. Then we're going to come to the end of the thread. Ready? And we're going to make a knot. We're going to bring a loop. We're going to bring the tail end up so that you have a loop about this size. And we're going to do a simple overhand knot right here at the cut thread. Okay, I'm going to hold it in such a way that it forces that knot to be right by the cut thread. I have a loop. If I reach through this loop and pick up this thread, that's called a lark's head knot. And also, you've gotten a piece of paper from the shop that will show you what that lark's head looks like too. Okay, then you're going to put that loop onto your bobbin and wind it. I always wind them all the same way, away from me, holding the cup part in my right hand, the flat part to my left, winding away from me, and they'll all be wound the same direction. When you go to set up your marrow die, you're going to find the real advantage to have them all wound the same way. It'll make your setup much easier. Kumihimo is just great in that it's so super fast. You'll finish this braid in no time, And you could never do that in any other technique so fast. Now, snap together. So here's my prep. I have my leftover 8 inches of thread, my knot in all my threads. I've prepped these and snapped them together. One color, I'm ready to go to class. Okay, want to just talk to you about a couple other things. I used, as you can see, a green mix and a black-brown mix. Well, this is what I'm using for my necklace that I'm going to be doing in class. It's a cute little monkey, and it's got some brown here, it's got black, and I'm going to pull a little yellow into my decorative work. But you could use almost anything. The class sample uses a creature that looks sort of like that. These are tagua nuts. They're sometimes called vegetable ivory. Could use a sloth. He's really cute, and they should have some kind of opening where you can put your rope through when you finish your kumihimo rope. Or you could use a creature that looks like this. Very cute. Or you could use any lampwork bead or any other thing that you have that you think will make an attractive necklace. Okay, so I do want to tell you regarding the tagua nuts that I'll be doing a trunk show at Brea Bead Works on February 19th and 20th, selling the tagua nuts if you want to come in and pick out your tagua nut before you do your prep for your class. The other thing I want to tell you is be sure to bring, even after you have this prep, bring all your leftover beads, your threads, and everything to class, okay? One last thing, we do have, you may not have noticed, but there's a little extra rope right where this little animal is hanging on my necklace. We're going to be making that extra rope in class too. So it'll go, you don't have to, but look, if you have the time, it'll be really great if you could prep the beads for that. And all I would like you to do is take some Nymo thread and load on one long piece of Nymo. Go ahead and load on any color thread, anything. This is just to work off of in class. 90 inches of beads, whatever color you want, for that little rope that the animal is hanging off of. Okay, so there you are. And I've put this on a larger spoolie, but you could wrap it on a piece of cardboard, whatever you want to do. Okay, I'll see you in class. I'm really looking forward to it.